Good morning, Tubaneros. Well, the reaction of our GOPers to their loss this month shows their confusion and incoherence and their basic state of shock. The American voting public is not quite as stupid as the GOPers, and many of us on the left side of things, took them for. They can at least recognize the buttered side of their bread from the dry. They had no desire to vote for a slicked-up, buttoned-down dude who looks exactly like the smooth-talking bastards they work for. After the big fall, all the Coke horses and all the Cokesmen are busy scrambling this Humpty Dumpty back together again, but it's a major mess for them. One of those men hard at it is my pal Cal, the syndicated columnist Cal Thomas. His little headline here warns 4 more years of decline. And begins, great nations and proud empires have always collapsed from within before they were conquered from without. We're in for a razor-sharp analysis here, I can tell. President Obama's re-election mirrors the self-indulgent, greedy, and envious nation we are rapidly becoming. Well, Cal, it seems that crap like Enron and Goldman Sachs all fell through when your folks were in power. But you're right when you say the central message coming out of the election seems to be that we are no longer the America of our founders or even the America that existed during World War II, which produced our so-called greatest generation, because the reign of frumpy old white people is demographically drawing nigh. This is the real angst gnawing at Cal and his loyal readers. He won't say it in so many words, thanks to the 60s taking away their right to call a spade a spade. Instead, the election validates the enormous cultural shift that has been taking place since the 60s, when a countercultural bomb was dropped on society, producing moral fallout that continues to this day. Cal goes on to bombast. I am a child of that greatest generation. My parents believed I should learn to take care of myself. They would have been too embarrassed to ask for help if they needed it. If they did, they would turn to family first, or to a friend or neighbor. There were fewer social programs then, so people mostly did without, living only on what they truly needed. It said something about your character if you refused to strive towards self-sufficiency. Well, Cal, ask your parents growing up in the Depression just how much fun it truly was living without, and doing without, and going without. Funny about that, Cal, but as I've talked to old-timers, I find damn few of them that really want to go back to those silver years of youth before Social Security, unemployment insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid. That very reason is a big one for your present funk. They may have filled you with ideological crap at the Thanksgiving table and you swallowed it right along with the cranberry sauce, but it's because the reality of those times were too painful to talk about even a half-century later. Better to let you imbibe even GOP corn pone than know the kind of hunger they endured with no help in sight. Of course, we don't have strong-knit families as we used to, because capitalism has forced all adult household members out in the workforce to make ends meet, forced households into bankruptcy and families into dissolution. So yes, family values are taking a beating precisely because we're in debt, trying to overcome the legacy of those Great Depression years and living in middle-class fantasy on proletarian budgets. Young people are taught in public schools and major universities, on television and in movies, that every life choice is acceptable and every tenet open to interpretation. In politics, some proclaim it is right to oppose the successful and envy the rich, to the point where they must be denigrated and penalized for their success and higher taxes. No one has to be personally responsible, no education, no motivation, no life plan, no problem, the government will take care of you. Except, Cal, no one denigrates a successful lawyer who saves people from going to jail, or a successful doctor who saves lives, and no one begrudges an engineer's education that makes the bridges we use and the roads we travel safe. What people have trouble with are pigs who think they have special rights because they're rich, who want us to believe they deserve 99% of the pie because they're supposedly smarter or harder working than the rest of us, which we know is complete bullshit, because we work 99% harder and have more mother wit than all the false gods of gold at which you kneel. Anyway, onwards and downwards. One thing Romney might have done better is to have featured more people who have overcome government dependence by embracing the values he was promoting. Example, Trump's philosophy and success should trump victimhood. Inspiration follows perspiration, but in our entitlement age, even that might have been impossible to overcome. This is too rich even for you, Cal. The voters saw Mitten's values, the values of a vampire sucking the financial life of all falling under his shadow, and decided that this was no way to heal the massive hemorrhage that is the modern U.S. capitalist market system. His success was based on the victimhood of others, and in that he's not to be envied but deserves a stake driven right through that vacant chest hole where a human heart would normally be. There was no longer any cultural corrective because we have abandoned the concept of objective truth. Nothing is right or wrong because, Cal says, that suggests a standard by which right and wrong might be defined. Personal choice is the new standard, which is no standard at all. One might as well develop individual weights and measures. By lack of objective standards, Cal, you mean they don't agree with you. Developing individual weights and measures, isn't this where the privatized, me-first libertarian world of Paul Ryan's Ayn Rand is supposed to lead? What outside power has the right to tell us that 4 quarts equal a gallon or 365 days equal a sun calendar year? Right and wrong? What's that got to do with profit and loss? But I get it now. That is the only operative standard of right and wrong that matters to you. Anyhow, politicians bid for votes making promises they can't keep to voters who will believe anything as long as it appeals to greed, envy, and their sense of entitlement. This undermines our culture. This fuels our debt, weakening our economic power and America's standing in the world. So Mitten doesn't feel he's entitled to all his inherited wealth and houses and dressage horses? And this undermines our culture and fuels our debt and weakens our economic power and blah blah and bullshit. Well, hey, for once we're on the same page. Okay? Standards used to be defined and mostly accepted, if not always universally practiced. Many grew out of religious principles. According to a recent Pew poll, a growing number of people, especially young people, no longer believe in God or religion. Well, only as long as they worship the golden bull on Wall Street will they and the U.S. be saved, right, Cal? Your faith is the capitalist bastardization of Christianity that preaches you can worship God and mammon, that the camel can pass through a needle's eye, that government charity is deserved only if you're rich and too big to fail. If you're a Wall Street bank that practices the very usury condemned into millennia of Christian doctrine. If not, suffer not the poor and the halt and the cripple and the lame. Let them wait in the gutter for a miracle to pass by. And better yet, let the cops run them off and make them wait somewhere else so you don't have to see them. You can pass by and piss on them, seeing only what you want to see. So, what is the answer? Should conservatives throw in the towel and say America, as passed down to us by previous generations, is no more? That was President Obama's announced goal 4 years ago when he promised to fundamentally transform America. He's doing it, and sufficient numbers of us appear happy to let him. When they realize what they have done, however, it may well be too late to reverse course. That's exactly what you hope to say to us, Cal, what you hope to lay on us after November 7th. Thank the God you falsely claim to worship that the shoe's on your foot and the monkey is on your back. Some gopers, though, have taken a different tack. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal says the GOP needs to redefine itself. That this election was a major wake-up call. Here is our wannabe white boy himself in his button-down glory stating, and I quote, "We've got to make sure that we are not the party of big business, big banks, big Wall Street bailouts, big corporate loopholes, big anything. We must not be the party that simply protects the rich so they get to keep their toys. Republicans need to cement their position as the party of ideas, details, and intelligent solutions. To stop reducing everything to mindless slogans, taglines, 30-second ads that all begin to sound the same. Simply being the anti-Obama party didn't work. You can't beat something with nothing. The reality is we have to be a party of solutions, and not just bumper sticker slogans, but real detailed policy solutions. That all sounds well and good, but you can't survive without the corporate loot, Bobby. The whole reason for your existence has been as a mouthpiece for these very people. What are you going to do now? Reach out to the projects and the hoods after you're cutting back their entitlements in public hospitals? Your party is going to stop pandering to leftover racism, the only thing that had built it up since 1964? Well, you're going to become something you're not, like the white boy you pretend to be, Bobby, but then maybe that's why you're taking it this way. You can't be like the bigoted old money frumps that run his state. He has to have a wider vision simply because he has to have it. And no doubt he's hoping he can be the counter-Obama in 2016. I doubt if the party that he allegedly leads in his state will heed his wake-up call because it's in too deep a coma. Other GOP people, though, are going off on the other tangent. This is what we know to expect from the angry old farts who say the world's slipping from their grasping claws. At least 28,000 want a rerun of the Civil War. Despite the state's demonstrated dependence on federal monies, the petition asks the Obama administration to peacefully let Louisiana break from the United States. Is this really likely? Probably not. What it does show is a desire to have it all their way or nothing at all. Destabilization will be the name of their game for the next 4 years. All right. Hello? Who? Lee Harvey Oswald. Just got off the clock at that big book depository in the beyond, eh? So what's up? You just want our viewers to appreciate that it doesn't take a civil war to change things. One lone individual can take the initiative in true American style. Just like cow-worshipping Mammon and calling in Jesus, you can save the constitutional rule of law out of the barrel of a gun. Only real losers worry about their own caliber.